Unit 44, we're going to review 100 questions. Okay, a listing broker offers compensation to a cooperating buyer's broker. When the buyer's broker presents an offer, the listing broker states that the buyer's broker's commission will be less than originally offered. Which of the following is correct? This one's going to be Charlie. The brokers may not allow the dispute to jeopardize the transaction. So, when you have a dispute between two brokers, they cannot allow the dispute to jeopardize the transaction, right? You want to let the transaction close, and then you can talk about, the dispute after it's closed. So this A says, the brokers can ask the real estate commissioner to arbitrate the dispute. No. The transaction can be canceled by the brokers. No. The buyer's broker may sue the seller for the difference in commission. No. A property with two loans against it has been sold at a foreclosure auction. After taxes have been paid, what is the order of disbursement of funds? It is Charlie. Foreclosure costs and fees, first loan, second loan, borrower. So foreclosure costs and fees, first loan, second loan, then borrower. So again, a property with two loans against it has been sold at a foreclosure auction. After taxes have been paid, what is the order of disbursement of funds? So foreclosure costs. So first is going to be the foreclosure costs, then the first loan gets paid, then the second loan, then the borrower. Is it first loan, second loan, foreclosure costs and fees, then the borrower? No. Borrower, first loan, second loan, foreclosure costs and fees? No. First loan, foreclosure costs and fees, second loan, borrower? No. After conducting an administrative hearing in which a licensee is found at fault, the commissioner may take all the following actions except what? Except Charlie. Order payment from the recovery fund. The commissioner may take all the following except order payment from the recovery fund. So the commissioner, they're kind of the enforcer, right? So they're like, it's kind of like the police, right? They enforce real estate rules, the commissioner rules. So can they suspend the licensee's license? Yes. That's enforcing it, right? Can they have the licensee make restitution through entry into a consent order? Yeah. Can they require the licensee to take additional education? Yeah. So every 2 years, realtors, we do 24 hours. Brokers, we do 30. A person holds an easement across a neighbor's property to reach their garage. The neighbor's property is the Charlie servient tenement. So you got dominant and servient. So this one's servient tenement. A person holds an easement across a neighbor's property to reach their garage. The neighbor's property is the servient. So whichever one is being stepped over, that's the servient one. The servient one serves the dominant one. So a person holds an easement across the neighbor's property. The one that's getting stepped over is the servient one. Typically the one that's getting stepped on is the servient property. They serve the main property. So that's the servient tenement. Is it prescriptive tenement? No. Dominant tenement? No. Easement opportunity? No. A licensee runs the following ad in a neighboring state. Beautiful 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home with a newly remodeled kitchen in a nice Hispanic area of Elwood Hills is listed for $250,000 with the seller carryback financing available at 6.5% interest for 20 years. The terms stated in this ad are violating Charlie fair housing laws. So why? Because they have Hispanic, that's a key word. You can't call out a race, that's a fair housing law violation. Is it the truth? So fair housing laws are violated. Elwood, this is a nice Hispanic, so it's a fair housing violation. So fair housing laws. Truth in Lending Act, no. RESPA, no. Equal Credit Opportunity Act, no. It's fair housing laws. Arizona law requires that property management agreements contain all the following provisions except what? Written registration of prospective tenants. Written registration of prospective tenants. Written registration of prospective tenants. So accept that. They don't care about that. So disposition of all monies collected, yes. Extent of the licensee's authority to order repairs, yeah. Frequency of status reports to the client, yes. If the seller carries back a purchase money trust deed, the seller is the beneficiary. So if the seller carries back a purchase money trust deed, the seller is the beneficiary. Is the seller the trustor? No. Trustee? No. Mortgagor? No. The Arizona Landlord and Tenant Act is enforced by the courts. So the Arizona Residential Landlord and Tenant Act is enforced by the courts. Is it enforced by Arizona Department of Real Estate? No. Landlord Tenant Advisory Board? No. Landlord and Tenant? No. Arizona Residential Landlord Tenant Act is enforced by the courts. When advertising via a web page, which of the following is true? Charlie, the broker's name must appear prominently on every single page without the viewers having to scroll down to see it. The broker's name must appear prominently on every page without the viewer having to scroll down to see it. The broker's name must appear prominently on every page without the viewer having to scroll down to see it. So again, when advertising via a web page, which of the following is true? The broker's name has to appear on every single page without the viewer having to scroll down to see it. The broker's name must appear on the homepage. No. The licensee's name must appear prominently on every page without the viewer having to. No one cares about the licensee. It's about the broker, right? The designated broker, not the associate broker. The designated broker, DB. Arizona regulations do not apply if the web page advertising is targeting out-of-state residents. No. A parcel of unimproved subdivided land is purchased. Soon after the purchase, the buyer discovers that there is no access to the land. The purchaser may rescind the contract. Purchaser may rescind the contract. The purchaser may rescind the contract. So a parcel of unimproved subdivided land is purchased. Soon after the purchase, the buyer discovers there is no access to the land, and that the purchaser may rescind the contract. Because there's no access to land, so it's it's a material fact that should have been disclosed, so you can rescind the contract. Can the purchase is automatically terminated? No. Purchase was illegal? No. The fact that there isn't access to land does not matter? No. Under a deed of trust, the bare legal title is conveyed to the trustee for which of the following reasons? Charlie, it allows the trustee to conduct a foreclosure without going to court. It allows the trustee to conduct a foreclosure without going to court. It allows the trustee to conduct a foreclosure without going to court. So under a deed of trust, the bare legal title is conveyed to the trustee for which of the following reasons? It allows the trustee to conduct a foreclosure without going to court. So that's the main, reason why you have a deed of trust that bears legal title, so you don't have to go to court. The trustee needs it to conduct a judicial foreclosure? No. To reinstate time is of the essence? No. To allow the trustee to obtain a deficiency judgment? No. In order to comply with Arizona statutory requirements, all of the following must be contained in an employment agreement, except what? Commission splits. Commission splits. Commission splits. So in order to comply with Arizona statutory requirements, all of the following must be contained in an employment agreement except commission splits. So you need beginning date, yeah. You need beginning date, end date. So beginning date, termination date. You need signatures of both parties, but you don't need a commission split. A broker must open a permanent file and keep it for a minimum of 5 years for all the following documents except what? Except rejected offers. Rejected offers. Rejected offers. So a broker must open a permanent file and keep it for a minimum of 5 years for all the following documents except a rejected offer. Rejected offers are kept for how long? 1 year. So buyer-broker agreements. Buyer-broker agreements. How long do you keep them? 5 years. Listings, 5 years. Option contracts, 5 years. 3 people had invested $40,000 in a property. They later sued the broker, and eventually the recovery fund paid the investors. The maximum amount the investors could receive is $30,000. If a broker wanted to sell his home for sale by owner, what must be on the yard sign? The words owner agent. The words owner, you could have a slash agent or owner dash agent. So the words owner agent. So the broker will sell his home for sale. And it's not just broker, if it's a salesperson too, a realtor, and even if they have an inactive or active license for sale by owner, what must be on the yard side? It's going to be, they need a for sale sign. I mean, it needs to have the words owner agent on the yard sign. Broker's name and company's name? No. Broker's license number? No. Company name and phone number? No. A promissory note is a form of a promissory note acknowledges debt. A promissory note acknowledges debt. A promissory note acknowledges debt. Acknowledges debt. So promise note, it's a promise to pay back. So when you have a promissory note, it's acknowledging the debt. Is it a form of collateral? No. Does it secure debt? No. Is it proof of a payoff? No. If a broker posts a sign stating he will prepare contracts for $250, which of the following provisions are being violated? Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution. Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution. There we go. Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution. So if a broker posts a sign stating he's going to prepare contracts for any fee, that's violating Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution. Article 26 of the Arizona Constitution says we are able to write contracts, but we cannot charge a fee. So that's the provision that is being violated. So it's a realtor code of ethics, no. Commissionary rules, no. Statutes of frauds, no. A tenant vacates a residential unit if the tenant does not receive notification of what items his or her security deposit was applied to, and the security deposit is not returned. The tenant is entitled to receive what amount as damages? Charlie, 2 times the deposit. 2 times the deposit. 2 times the deposit. So, for instance, I've had renters before, and they've punched holes in walls, left the entire thing, left the entire room abandoned, or left it in very bad shape. $600 typically deposit. Give them an itemized receipt of all of the costs to repair everything. Usually it's way more than the $600. So you just text them the receipt or email them the receipt and break it down, and that you used all the deposit. Now, if you don't give them that receipt, you don't have any knowledge, but they think they're going to get their deposit back, and then you go to court and you don't use the deposit for repairing the room or repairing the property, they can get back how much? 2 times their deposit. So a tenant vacates a residential unit if the tenant does not receive notification of what items his or her security deposit was applied to, and the security deposit is not returned. The tenant is entitled to receive what amount as damages? So they can get 2 times back. Usually they don't, because if it's really messed up, but usually they do. I've returned many deposits, right? Because the room is back in the original condition. We're not looking for, a whole brand new room here. We're just looking for it to be back in the same condition that they got it. The entire deposit, no. 1.5 times the deposit, no. 3 times the deposit, no. 2 times, twice. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act extends protection over and above the Federal Fair Housing Act to which of the following groups? Marital status and age. Marital status and age. Marital status and age. So the Equal Credit Opportunity Act extends protection over and above the Federal Fair Housing Act, to which the following groups: the groups of marital status and age. So is it race and color? No. Religion and creed? No. Sex and national origin? No. A physician runs his practice from the bottom floor of his two-story home. The zoning in his neighborhood changes to single-family residence, but he may continue his practice at his home. This is an example of non-conforming use. Non-conforming use. Non-conforming use. So a physician runs his practice from the bottom floor of his two-story home. The zoning in his neighborhood changes to single-family residence, but he may continue his practice at his home because this is an example of non-conforming use. And it's kind of, it's not grandfathered in. It's kind of like grandfathered in, but non-conforming use because the zoning is just a zoning change. So he's kind of grandfathered in, but the technical is non-conforming use because it was conforming, but then they changed it to that, so it's non-conforming use now. Variance, no. Deed restriction, no. Encumbrance, no. A landlord has a residential lease for $600 per month rent. In addition to the first and last month's rent, how much can the landlord take as a security deposit? $300. $300. $300. So landlord has a residential lease for $600 per month rent. In addition to the first and last month's rent, how much can the landlord take as a security deposit? $300. So usually the landlord can take up to half of the month per rent. A woman and her brother hold property in joint tenancy. If the woman deeds her part to her husband, the joint tenancy is broken. The joint tenancy is broken. The joint tenancy is broken. So a woman and her brother, right? So siblings, right? So tenancy in common, right? So woman and her brother hold property in joint tenancy. If the woman deeds her part to her husband, the joint tenancy that they had is now broken. So the deed to the husband is invalid? No. All three now hold title in joint tenancy? No. The husband and brother now hold title in joint tenancy? No. The primary function of FNMA is to buy loans at a discount from lenders. Buy loans at a discount from lenders. Buy loans at a discount from lenders. The primary function of FNMA is to buy loans at a discount from lenders. Do they regulate interest rates? No. Do they insecure loans? No. They originate loans? No. They just buy loans from lenders. A municipality allows citizens over age 59 at $5,000 deduction on assessed valuation. If a house is valued at $90,000, has an assessed value ratio of 20%, and the tax rate is $44 per thousand of assessed value, what are the annual taxes for an owner over 59 years old? So here you're going to need to do some math. You'll find it's $572. Residential leasing company hires an agent who has been issued a provisional license by ADRE to manage their trust account. 1 month later, the broker notices that the money is missing from the trust account, and they immediately replace the money and fire the licensee. What else must the broker do? Inform the Arizona Department of Real Estate of the problem. Inform the Arizona Department of Real Estate of the problem. Inform the Arizona Department of Real Estate of the problem. So what else must the broker do? They need to tell the Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE, that problem has occurred. So a residential leasing company hires an agent who has been issued a provisional license by ADRE to manage their trust account. 1 month later, the broker notices that the money is missing from the trust account. They immediately replace the money and fire that licensee. What else must the broker do? The broker must notify ADRE of the problem. Notify multiple MLS? No. Notify property owners? No. Voluntarily relinquish their license? No. According to the Arizona Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, if a tenant is delinquent in the payment of rent, a minimum of how many days notice is required before a forcible entry and detainer action can be filed. So 5 days. 5 days. 5 days. So according to the Arizona Residential Landlord Tenant Act, enforced by the courts, if a tenant is delinquent in the payment of rent, a minimum of how many days notice is required, so 5 days minimum, is required before you can go into forcible entry and detainer action can be filed. So this is not going into you need to give them 2 days notice before you can enter into the premises. But you got to give them, so say you give them a 5 day notice, right? Once you give them 5 day notice, then you can have a forcible entry and detainer action can be filed with the courts. So 2 days to go in, 5 day notice to file it with the court. So 7, 1430, no. What are the benefits of a beneficiary deed? It allows you to transfer ownership without probate. So what are the benefits of beneficiary deed? It allows you to transfer ownership without probate. It allows you to transfer ownership without probate. So what are the benefits of a beneficiary deed? It allows you to transfer ownership without probate. Does it allow you to transfer ownership when someone is ill? No. You can avoid paying inheritance tax? No. It transfers title immediately after a trustee's foreclosure sale? No. A salesperson sells a property to buyer J and then opens escrow. prior to closing, the salesperson employing broker has his license suspended for actions in another transaction. When the sale to buyer J closes, which of the following statements regarding receipt of commissions is correct? So both the broker and salesperson are entitled to commissions. Both the broker and salesperson are entitled to commissions. Both the broker and salesperson are entitled to commissions. So again, a salesperson sells a property to buyer J and opens escrow. So here's the key part. They open escrow, right? Once you get it to escrow, you're entitled to your commission, right? You found the buyer, you did all the work, right? If something happens during that time, you're still entitled to your commission. Prior to closing, the salesperson employing broker has his license suspended for actions in another transaction. So, I mean, your broker, it really depends on when your broker's license was suspended and when you got the deal into escrow, right? So if the deal was done before you got it into escrow, you won't get your commission. If you got it into the escrow title company before your broker's license got suspended, then you're fine. So when the sale to buyer J closes, which of the following statements regarding receipt of commissions is correct? So both the broker and the salesperson are entitled to commissions. Neither broker nor salesperson are entitled to commissions. No. Commissions can only be paid when the broker's license is reinstated. No. Only the salesperson is entitled to commission. No. An investor owns a 36-acre parcel and wants to develop it with lots of minimum size of 2.5 acres. What is the maximum amount of lots the investor can develop without creating a subdivision? 5. So an investor owns a 36-acre parcel and wants to develop it with lots of minimum size of 2.5 acres. What's the minimum amount of lots the investor can develop without creating a subdivision? So 5 lots can be developed without creating a subdivision. Is it 6, 12, 14? No. P paid $125,500 for a parcel of land in a section at $18,000 per acre. What percentage of the same section does P own? 1%. 1%. So here you need to use wires. While the owner is out of town, what should the listing agent do in relation to the for sale sign? Remove the sign and wait until the owner returns to sign an extension agreement. Remove the sign and wait until the owner returns to sign an extension agreement. So remove the sign and wait until the owner returns to sign an extension agreement. If a listing expires while the owner is out of town, what should the listing agent do in relation to the for sale sign? They should remove the sign and wait until the owner returns to sign an extension agreement. Should they prepare an extension agreement and sign on behalf of the seller? No. Should they keep the sign on the property and continue showing the home? No. Should they keep the sign on the property but discontinue showings? No. Which type of deed creates the least liability for the seller? It is a quitclaim deed. Quitclaim deed. Quitclaim deed. So which type of deed creates the least liability for the seller? A quitclaim deed. Is it a bargain and sale deed? No. Special warranty deed? No. General warranty deed? No. Title search shows that a lis pendens had been recorded, but the court order of foreclosure had been terminated. How would the lis pendens be terminated? Quiet title action. Quiet title action. Quiet title action. So a title search shows that a lis pendens had been recorded, but the court order of foreclosure had been terminated. So foreclosure was terminated. How would the lis pendens be terminated? Quiet title action. Quitclaim deed? No, that's the least liability. Deed of reconveyance? No. Foreclosure action? No. Who pays for property taxes and assessments under the terms of a net lease? Who pays for property taxes and assessments under the terms of a net lease? It is the leasee. 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 So who pays for property taxes and assessments under the terms of a net lease? So that's going to be the leasee. Is it the leaseor? No. Subleasee? No. Sublessor? No. If a buyer wants to transfer her rights in a purchase contract to another person, she would do so through what? Assignment. 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 So if a buyer wants to transfer her rights in a purchase contract to another person, she should do so through an assignment. An assumption? No. Subordination? No. Subrogation? No. What is the first step after the notice of default and the trustee's sale is recorded in a non-judicial trust deed foreclosure? It is alpha. The notice is sent to the debtor. The notice is sent to the debtor. The notice is sent to the debtor. So what is the first step taken after the notice of default and trustee sale is recorded in a non-judicial trust deed foreclosure? Is the notice is sent to the debtor. The debtor has 60 days to redeem? No. Trustor will file lis pendens? No. Trustee will order the beneficiary to proceed with the foreclosure? No. A charge in an employment agreement for consulting agreement for initial consultation and or research and is deemed to be earned when paid is a retainer fee. Retainer fee. Retainer fee. So a charge in an employment agreement or consulting agreement for initial consultation and or research and is deemed to be earned when paid is a retainer fee. So a lot of times you'll have lawyers, right, ask for a retainer fee, and it's deemed to be earned when it's paid. So if they ask for, I've had one dealing with HOA. The lawyer wanted $2,000 just as a retainer. So you pay that $2,000, and they don't do $2,000 worth of work, and they send out one letter. You pretty much will never get back that retainer fee. So it's earned when it's paid. So just be wary of the retainer fees. Originator fee. So I ended up not doing that retainer fee, and I just did it myself, and it worked out actually, using ChatGPT for writing a document like a lawyer. Origination fee, no. Discount fee, no. Document preparation fee, no. If a subdivider wants to sell land in an active management area, they must provide a certificate of assured water supply. A certificate of assured water supply. Certificate of assured water supply. So if a subdivider wants to sell land in an active management area, they must provide a certificate of assured water supply. Type 1 non-irrigation rights, no. A doctrine of prior appropriation, no. Water adequacy report, no. All of the following contracts must be reviewed by the broker within 10 business days, except Alpha residential leases. Residential leases. Residential leases. So all the following contracts must be reviewed by the broker within 10 business days, right? It's not calendar days, 10 business days. So you have to give them the weekend, right? So commercial leases, yeah. All non-residential leases, yeah. Purchase agreements, yeah. Now notice they didn't say residential leases, right? Residential leases, that's the big one here. Brokers do need, if you're going to rent rooms or rent a house, brokers do not need to review those types of leases. Only commercial leases, yeah. Non-residential leases, yeah. Purchase agreements for sale, yeah. But once it comes down to residential leases, if you're going to rent out your whole house for sale, broker does not need to review that. When participating in a real estate transaction, a licensee should disclose any information which adversely and materially affects the consideration to be paid. Disclose any information which adversely and materially affects the consideration to be paid. Disclose any information which adversely and materially affects the consideration to be paid. So when participating in a real estate transaction, a licensee should disclose any information which adversely and materially affects the consideration to be paid. Should they disclose material defects only when instructed by the seller? No. Follow the seller's instruction in all cases? No. Do whatever is necessary to make the sale? No. In Arizona, state environmental standards are enforced by Alpha Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ. Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ. So in Arizona, state environmental standards are enforced by Arizona Department of Environmental quality, ADEQ. Are they enforced by Environment EPA? No. ADRE? No. Arizona Department of Water Resources? No. So environmental is enforced by ADEQ. If a man in Phoenix dies intestate, right, without a will, intestate, no will, while eminent domain is being exercised against his property in a blighted area, the proceeds would go to his heirs according to law. His heirs according to law. His heirs according to the law. So if a man in Phoenix dies intestate while eminent domain is being exercised against his property in a blighted area, the proceeds would go to his heirs according to the law. Would it go to his heirs named in his will? No. The government through a sheet? No. The county treasurer? No. Remember, he doesn't have a will, right? That's why it's intestate. Intestate, no will. The buyer is purchasing a home in 12 days after the loan application is made. The lender discovers that the buyer has unpaid student loans and the loan is denied. If the buyer is trying to get a loan from another lender, the buyer's agent, Alpha, must notify the seller's agent that the buyer may not qualify. It's a big deal, right? If your buyer suddenly becomes unable to close, you need to let the seller's agent know that the buyer may not qualify. That's huge. It's a big deal in real estate. So, must notify the seller's agent that the buyer may not qualify. Must notify the seller's agent that the buyer may not qualify. So, a buyer is purchasing a home, and 12 days after the loan application is made, the lender discovers that the buyer has unpaid student loans and the loan is denied. If the buyer is trying to get a loan from another lender, the buyer's agent must inform the seller's agent that the buyer may not qualify. May not disclose this to the seller? No, they should. Must remain silent because of the duty of confidentiality to the buyer? No, because you could end up in court. Has 10 days to see if the other lender will approve the buyer? No. The owners of a mobile home affix it to some land that they own. To retire the title of the mobile home, the owners must complete an affidavit of affixture and send it to the county recorder. Complete an affidavit of affixture and send it to the county recorder. Complete an affidavit of affixture and send it to the county recorder. So the owners of mobile home affix it to some land that they own. To retire the title of that mobile home, the owners must complete an affidavit of affixture and send it to the county recorder. Should they mail the title back to the Department of Motor Vehicles? No. Notify ADRE? No. Inform the county treasurer? No. Which of the following acts prevents the lender from holding excess money in an impound account? Real Estate Settlement and Procedures Act. Real Estate Settlement and Procedures Act, RESPA. Real Estate Settlement and Procedures Act. So which of the following acts prevents the lender from holding excess money in an impound account. So that would be RESPA, Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. Is it the Consumer Credit Protection Act? No. Fair Credit Reporting Act? No. Equal Credit Opportunity Act? Which of the following residential rental property taxes, or which of the following residential rental property types is exempt from disclosure of bedbug infestation? Single family homes. Single family homes. Single family homes. So which of the following residential rental property types is exempt from disclosure of bedbug infestation? Single family homes. So, bedbug law, right, really applies to apartment complexes, apartment communities, fourplexes, apartments, and single family homes. So D is wrong. It says apartments and single family homes. So it does not apply to single family homes, right? It's only for, apartments or fourplexes. Specializes in industrial property, has a friend who wants to buy a home. Broker A refers the buyer to broker B, who represents the buyer in the home purchase. The brokers have a referral fee agreement between them. Usually I charge 30% for my referral fee. What fiduciary duties does broker A have to the friend? None, as only broker B is representing the buyer. So none, as only broker B is representing the buyer. So again, none, as only broker B is representing the buyer. So broker A specializes in industrial property, has a friend who wants to buy a home. Broker A refers the buyer to broker B, who represents the buyer in a home purchase. The brokers have a referral fee agreement between them. What fiduciary duties does broker A have to the friend? None. A broker, let me just come back. The same as broker B? No. Only fairness and confidentiality? No. Only confidentiality and obedience? No. A broker is required to maintain their trust account in Bravo, any depository located in Arizona, which is federally insured or guaranteed. Any depository located in Arizona, which is federally insured or guaranteed. Any depository located in Arizona, which is federally insured or guaranteed. So a broker is required to maintain their trust account in any depository located in Arizona, which is federally insured or guaranteed. So when you go to deposit your client's money in a trust account, it needs to be in a bank that's federally insured. You can't put it under your mattress, nothing like that. The bank closest to their office? No. A federal bank? No. A bank in the area where the broker resides? No. P sells the rights to the oil and gas found on P's land to an oil company. P then sells a fee simple interest to a third party, reserving the coal interests. What ownership interests does P have? Bravo, ownership of the coal. Ownership of the coal. ownership of the coal. So what ownership interest does P have? Ownership of the coal. So the interest P has is ownership. Does it have fee simple title? No. Ownership of the gas and minerals? No. No ownership? No. So P sells the rights to the oil and gas found on P's land to an oil company. P then sells a fee simple interest to a third party, reserving the coal interest. What ownership interest does P have? Ownership of the coal. E has 174,000 square feet parcel that she intends to sell for $1,500 per acre. How much would E receive if she sold 2/5 of the parcel? So you got to do some math on this one to get B 2,400. How far from the principal meridian is Township 5 north, Range 3 west, G and S are B and M? So again, you need to do a little bit of math. 12 to 18 miles. Of the following procedures relate to a trust deed foreclosure except forfeiture. 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 So judicial foreclosure, no. Non-judicial foreclosure, no. Recorded notice of sale, no. So all the following procedures relate to a trust deed foreclosure except a forfeiture. So so would a judicial foreclosure relate to a trust deed foreclosure? Yes. Would a non-judicial foreclosure relate to a trust deed foreclosure? Yes. Would a recorded notice of sale relate to a trust deed foreclosure? Yes. But when you forfeit something and you kind of give it up, you release it, that's called a forfeiture. The forfeiture does not relate to a trust deed foreclosure, right? Because you forfeited, you voluntarily gave it. It's foreclosure is involuntary. When does a broker need to notify the Arizona Department of Real Estate of a change in mailing address? Within 10 days. Within 10 days. Within 10 days. So when does a broker need to notify the Arizona Department of Real Estate of a change in the mailing address? You got about 10 days to notify when you change your mailing address. So 5 days, no. 14 days, no. Notice is not required if the U.S. Postal Service has a forwarding address on file, no. Which of the following is not part of an affidavit of disclosure? Appraisal. 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 So, which of the following is not part of an affidavit of disclosure? So, water availability, that is a part of an affidavit of disclosure. Easements, that's a part of an affidavit of disclosure. Sewer or septic tank information, that's also part of an affidavit of disclosure, right? Appraisal, right? That is not part of an affidavit of disclosure. Water availability. So if there's water available, do you have to disclose that in sort of like a land contract or somewhere else? Yeah. Easements, right? Walking over from a dominant state into a serving state. If you're going to walk over someone's property to get to another property, you'll need to have an affidavit of disclosure or a sewer or septic tank info. Couple sales of property through a short sale and the HOA dues have not been paid for over a year. Who is legally responsible to pay them? It is the seller. The seller. The seller. So a couple sells a property through a short sale, right? It's when you owe more money than what it's worth. to the bank, and you give it up to the bank, and the bank agrees to sell your property to get some of their money back. And the HOA dues have not been paid for, right, over a year. So, the sellers, the person who currently owns the property, they're going to be responsible to pay the dues, right? The buyer, they don't have responsibility yet because they don't own the property yet. The 10-unit apartment building is sold. Security deposits total $1,000, and paid rent for the month totals $8,000. If closing occurs on the 15th of the month, what is the credit due to the buyer? Assume the buyer is credited for the day of closing. So you're going to do some math. It's $5,267. All of the following people can be authorized to withdraw money from a trust account except the client. Except the client. Except the client. So all the following people can be authorized to withdraw money from a trust account except the client. Right? So the client is the one giving the money to be deposited in the trust account, but the client can't go in there and grab their money back. So can you authorize the broker to do it? Yes. A licensee under the broker? Yes. The property manager? Yes. All those folks can touch the money from the trust account, but the client can't. When can a real estate salesperson legally be licensed under two brokers? Bravo, when one is residential resale broker and the other is a cemetery broker. When one is a residential resale broker and the other is a cemetery broker. So when one is a residential resale broker and the other is a cemetery broker. So this is kind of a weird one here. Residential broker, typically can't be under two brokers, right? But the cemetery broker is kind of an exemption, and there's a whole another course to take on to get the cemetery broker license, and but that's the only caveat there. So when can a real estate salesperson legally be licensed under two brokers? So when one is a residential resale broker and the other is a cemetery broker. So A says when one is a residential resale broker and the other is a commercial broker. No, definitely not. When the salesperson is paid commissions under one broker and is paid as an employee by the other broker. No. When the salesperson works under 20 hours per week for each broker. No. The Arizona Residential Landlord-Tenant Act addresses all of the following areas except what? Bravo, property management agreements. Except property management agreements. Property management agreements. So this one's kind of interesting because we're talking about Arizona Landlord-Tenant Act, right? So are they gonna address non-payment of rents? Yes. Forcible entry and detainer actions? Yes. Self-help for minor defects? Yes. But they don't address property management agreements. A city wants to create a zone for a green overlay in a blighted area. Which of the following is correct? Bravo, the city may acquire the property by paying just compensation to the owner only after the property is condemned. The city may acquire the property by paying just compensation to the owner only after the property is condemned. The city may acquire the property by paying just compensation to the owner only after the property is condemned. So a city wants to create a zone for a green overlay in a blighted area. Which of the following is correct? So here the city may acquire the property by paying just compensation to the owner only after the property is condemned. Right? So the property needs to be condemned and the city takes it over. A says the city may acquire the property by paying just compensation to the owner. No, the property needs to be condemned. The city may acquire the property if the owner receives 125% of the appraised value. No, the property owner cannot contest the amount of the city's appraisal. If a licensee is subpoenaed to show the Department of Real Estate certain documents and the licensee refuses, what court would the commissioner go to in order to compel compliance? This would be Bravo, Superior Court. Superior Court. Superior Court. So if a licensee is subpoenaed to show the Department of Real Estate certain documents and the licensee refuses, what court would the commissioner go to in order to compel compliance? So it would be the Superior Court. So, licensees not doing what they're supposed to do, they get a subpoena, it forces them to come to court, and then they don't go, and the commissioner is going to have to go to Superior Court to ensure compliance. So would the commissioner go to the Court of Administrative Hearings? No. Supreme Court? No. Civil Court? No. Superior Court. In a new Arizona subdivision, the buyers are informed of taxes and other fees through Bravo Public Report. Public Report. Through the Public Report. So in a new Arizona subdivision, the buyers are informed of taxes and other fees through the Public Report. Is it through the property tax bill? No. The water bill? No. Affidavit of disclosure? No. If a property is described as the north one half of the southeast one quarter of a section and is offered for $325 per acre, what is the listing price? This one's $26,000. So here you need to do some math. Two friends are partners in a corporation and they wish to purchase some property. If they are using their corporation for the purchase, how would title be taken? Taken severalty. 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 So two friends are partners in a corporation and they wish to purchase some property. If they are using their corporation for the purchase, how would title be taken? Taken by severalty. So would it be tenancy in common? No. Joint tenancy? No. Community property? No. A federal law that requires that the borrower must be informed of the true cost of obtaining credit is the Bravo Truth in Lending Act. The Truth in Lending Act. Truth in Lending Act. So a federal law that requires that the borrower must be informed of the true cost of obtaining credit is the Truth in Lending Act. So is it the Real Estate Settlement and Procedures Act? No. Is it ECOA? Equal Credit Opportunity Act? No. Fair Housing Laws? No. A tenant did $900 worth of destruction to an apartment. The tenant had paid a $300 security deposit and left a television set worth $600 in the apartment. The landlord mailed an itemized statement of the damages to the tenant within 2 days of the tenant's vacating the premises, and the tenant returned in 7 days and demanded his belongings. So again, how long do you have to keep their belongings? 14 days, right? So the landlord, what? Bravo can keep only the $300. So can you keep his $600 television? No. Can you keep personal property? No. Can you keep the security deposit? Yes. Right? So if you did $900 worth of damage and you have $300 security deposit, you can keep the $300. Can you keep the $300 on the TV? No. Must return the $300? No. Must return the $300 on the TV? No. A salesperson sold property out of state. The salesperson can legally be paid by the employing broker. Employing broker. Employing broker. So a salesperson sold property out of state. The salesperson can legally be paid by the employing broker. Can they get paid by the out-of-state broker? No. The seller, the buyer? No. Situations will be grounds for invalidating a contract. A person enters into a contract while intoxicated. A person enters into a contract while intoxicated. A person enters into a contract while intoxicated. So, if someone's not of sound mind, they're intoxicated, that would invalidate a contract. A minor enters into a contract under a guardian. That's okay. An illiterate individual signs a deed. That's okay. A married man sales community personal property. That is okay. In Arizona, grandfathered irrigation water rights are conveyed with the property. Conveyed with the property. Conveyed with the property. So in Arizona, grandfathered irrigation water rights are going to be conveyed with the property. Are they deeded separately? No. Cannot be transferred? No. Solely for grazing purposes? No. An associate broker is helping an investor buy properties. The investor wants to purchase a billboard that reads, "We'll pay cash for your home. Call 888-555-5555, and the phone number will go directly to the associate broker's phone." According to the commissioner's rule, this is not allowed because the fact that the investor is working with a broker is hidden. So what needs to be on there? The company name needs to be highlighted prominently. So A says, okay, only if the broker answers with the phone with the company name. No. Allowed because it has been proven to be a successful marketing technique. No. Allowed only if the DB of the company approves the ad and agrees to pay for half of the cost for the billboard. No. So yeah, not allowed because the fact that the investor is working with the broker is hidden. Right? You don't know what the company's name is. You don't know the broker's name. You need to know the name of the company. If a buyer wants to take possession of a property 1 day prior to closing, they must get written permission from the seller. Seller. So if a buyer wants to take possession of a property 1 day prior to closing, they must get written permission from the seller. So it's not a good idea to move in. I generally don't give buyers the ability to move in before closing, because if the house burns down, who's responsible? The seller's still responsible, not the buyers, right? Because it's not the buyer's home yet. So I would generally do not let the and you need written permission from the seller, right? So it's generally not a good idea to let the buyers take possession of the home before it's actually their home, right? So some people do it, but you need permission from the seller. Do you need permission from the listing broker? No. Title company? No. Buyer's broker? No. Even on my house, I tried to get in earlier before closing, but they wouldn't let me. Which of the following is not a statutory requirement regarding a subdivision that is located within an active management area? The municipality can bond for water improvements. So that's not a statutory requirement. The municipality can bond for water improvements. The municipality can bond for water improvements. That is not a statutory requirement. So A, the developer or water provider must demonstrate that the water supply is uninterruptible for the 100-year period. Yes. The developer or water provider must demonstrate financial capability to construct the water delivery system. Yes. The subdivision goal must be consistent with the AMA management goals. Yes. But the municipality can bond for water improvements. That is not a statutory requirement. The best example of redlining is denying a loan because the house is located in a certain area. Because the house is located in a certain area. Because the house is located in a certain area. So think about redlining. They redline an area, and that's in a certain area, and they don't do business there, or they do business there. That is called redlining. That is not allowed. So is it based on the borrower's ethnic background? No. Based on the borrower's nationality? No. Based on the condition of the property? No. In Arizona, a renewable water resource that has application to obtaining a 100-year assured water supply is Bravo, the Central Arizona Project. CAP. The Central Arizona Project. The Central Arizona Project. So in Arizona, a renewable water resource that has an application to obtaining a 100-year assured water supply is the Central Arizona Project. Is it the local water wells? No. The water conservation? No. Grandfathered water rights? No. In a new development, an HOA is being formed. They will meet monthly on the last Thursday of each month. Their meeting must comply with open meeting laws. Their meeting must comply with open meeting laws. So the The HOA meeting must comply with open meeting laws. So in a new development, an HOA is being formed. They will meet monthly on the last Thursday of each month. Their meetings must comply with open is being formed. They will meet monthly on the last Thursday of each month. Their meetings must comply with open meeting laws. Open meeting laws. HOA meeting must comply with open meeting laws. Do they have to comply with local government authority? No. The Arizona Department of Real Estate rules? No. The public report? No. The meetings must comply with open meeting laws. A licensee may have legal counsel representation at an Arizona Department of Real Estate hearing. Delta at any time. At any time. At any time. So a licensee may have legal counsel representation at an Arizona Department of Real Estate hearing at any time. Only when the licensee will be suspended? No. Only when the license will be revoked? No. Only when the hearing is about fraud? No. Property manager's agreement should contain all the following items except the tenant's purpose. The tenant's purpose. The tenant's purpose. So should a manager's agreement contain items about maintenance duties? Yeah. Agent's responsibilities? Yeah. Commission makes monthly payments to the seller but does not receive title until the full balance is paid off. This is usually called an agreement for sale. An agreement for sale. An agreement for sale. So the buyer makes monthly payments to the seller but does not receive title until the full payment balance is paid off. This is usually called an agreement for sale. It's called reversion, no mortgage, no option, no. All the following must be included in an affidavit of value except contingencies of the sale. So what must be included? Contingencies of the sale, except the contingency of the sale. Except contingencies of the sale. So just signature of the parties, yes. Sales price, yes. Property description, yes. That all must be included in an affidavit value except contingencies of the sale. A month-to-month lease requires the tenant to pay the rent on the first of each month. On March 15th, the landlord notifies the tenant that the lease will be terminated. On which date will the tenant need to vacate? April 30th. April 30th. April 30th. So on a month-to-month lease, right? You got a month-to-month lease. It requires the tenant to pay the rent on the first of each month. On March 15th, the landlord notifies the tenant that the lease will be terminated. On which date will the tenant need to vacate? So it would be the last day. So they get 30 days, right? So March 15th, so till April 1st, that'd be the 15th, and then they get the last 30 days of April. So which day would be the last date the tenant needs to vacate? Would be April 30th. In a purchase money loan, which of the following provisions would not be a benefit to the seller? Non-recourse clause. A non-recourse clause. Non-recourse clause. Not be a benefit to the seller. So in a purchase money loan, which of the following provisions would not be a benefit to the seller? A non-recourse clause. So acceleration clause, yes. Prepayment penalty, yes. Late fee, yes. Non-recourse clause, no. What is not considered to be an operating expense on income property? So what is not considered to be an operating expense? So it's going to be delta mortgage payments. Mortgage payments. Mortgage payments. They're not operating expenses. So what is not considered to be an operating expense on income property? Your mortgage payments. Because it's debt, right? That's not, you can't write off your debt, right? Something you have to pay every month. Sometimes this can be confusing. A lot of students miss this question because, you should be able to write that off, but no, you can't write off your debt. Property tax, yes. Insurance, yes. Repairs and maintenance, yes. In Arizona, a broker may place a commission lien on a property for a transaction involving a commercial lease. Commercial lease. Commercial lease. So in Arizona, a broker may place a commission lien on a property for a transaction involving a commercial lease. What about a commercial sale? No. Residential sale? No. Purchase of 5 or more residential units? No. Regarding comparables, an appraiser would disregard all the following sales except a delta at arm's length. At arm's length. At arm's length. So regarding comps, an appraiser would disregard all of the following sales except at arm's length. Would they, what about between relatives? Would they disregard all the following sales except, so would they disregard between relatives? Yeah. To a government agency? Yeah. Through condemnation? Yeah. At arm's length? No. It would disregard those sales except at arm's length. A residential rental property is damaged by wind, which makes the property uninhabitable. The lease is terminated. Delta constructively by the tenant providing proper written notice to the landlord. Constructively by the tenant providing proper written notice to the landlord. Constructively by the tenant providing proper written notice to the landlord. So a residential rental property is damaged by wind, which makes the property uninhabitable. The lease is terminated. Constructively by the tenant providing proper written notice to the landlord. Only upon termination of the lease? No. Only after filing an actual eviction procedure? No. By the tenant repairing the damage? No. Under Arizona law, what happens to community property when one spouse dies? 50% passes to the descendants' heirs. Is it 100%? No, 50%. So in Arizona law, what happens to community property when one of the spouses die? 50% passes to the descendants' heirs. 50% passes to the descendants' heirs. So in Arizona law, what happens to community property when one spouse dies? 50% passes to descendant heirs. 100% passes to the descendant heirs? No. 50% automatically passes to the surviving spouse? No. 50% passes to the children? No. A person must be a licensed real estate broker or salesperson in order to receive compensation for advising a buyer regarding the purchase of property. Advising a buyer regarding the purchase of property. So when you start advising people on property, right, you're practicing real estate, right? So when you practice real estate, what do you need? You need a real estate license. So a person must be licensed real estate broker or salesperson in order to receive compensation for advising a buyer regarding the purchase of property. Performing an appraisal, no. Originate loan, no. Selling securities, no. The Arizona Real Estate Department can issue a temporary broker's license in all of the following situations, except in the Delta extended vacation of the broker. Extended vacation of the broker. Extended vacation. So if the broker wants to, be on vacation for, instead of 30 days, wants to be on vacation for 60 days, can the ADRE, Arizona Department of Real Estate, give a, temporary broker's license? No. What if the broker dies, right? Death of the broker. Can they extend it and give a temporary broker's license to the company? Yes. What if the broker gets corona and illness of the broker? ADRE can give a temporary broker's license. What if the broker goes insane, right? Insanity of the broker. Yeah. So ADRE can give a temporary license. But just because they're going on vacation, no. When using the comparative method, an appraiser would make an adjustment for all the following items except Delta financing terms the same as the subject property. So when would an adjustment for all the following items except financing terms the same as the subject property? Financing terms the same as the subject property. So when using the comparative method, an appraiser would make an adjustment for all the following items except, how about comparable properties in a different neighborhood? Yeah. Comparable properties of different square footage? Yeah. A selling price over 6 month old? Yes. Financing terms the same as the subject property? No. Right, this one's different because the finance terms doesn't really have anything to do with comps, right? Comps, right? You're comparing different neighborhoods, different square footage. You're comparing, when it's sold. Those three items: the square footage, the neighborhood, and the selling price, and within the past 6 months. Those are the big key indicators of where you're comparing your subject property to all the other properties of like kind. An owner conveys a fee simple estate to a grantee, but reserves to himself a life estate. The grantee has a Delta remainder interest. Remainder interest. So an owner conveys a simple estate to a grantee, but reserves to himself a life estate. The grantee has a remainder interest. That's the grantee, right? They have that remainder interest. Do they have a homestead? No. A life estate? No. Reversionary interest? No. They have a remainder interest. In the listing for the sale of a cafe, it states that all personal property does not convey. If a prospective buyer asks about a serving counter, the listing agent should state Delta doesn't transfer because it is a trade fixture. It doesn't transfer because it is a trade fixture. It doesn't transfer because it's a trade fixture. So in the listing for the sale of a cafe, it states that all personal property does not convey. If a prospective buyer asks about a serving counter, the listing agent should state it doesn't transfer because it is a trade fixture. It is a trade fixture, so it will automatically transfer. No. It will remain because it is a fixture. No. Counters are considered to be real property because they are attached. No. The first step in a tax lien foreclosure is notifying the owner by certified mail of the pending foreclosure. Notifying the owner by certified mail of the pending foreclosure. Notifying the owner by certified mail of the pending foreclosure. So the first step in a tax lien foreclosure is notifying the owner by certified mail of the pending foreclosure. Filing legal action in the small claims court, no. Filing lawsuit in Superior Court, no. Bidding the lowest interest rate at the tax lien auction, no. A homestead exemption may protect the owner's equity in all of the following property types except commercial property. Commercial property. Commercial property. So a homestead exemption may protect the owner's equity in all of the following property types except commercial property. So how about a condominium? Yeah. Cooperative apartment? Yeah. Single family residence? Yeah. Which of the following items would be least important in the market data approach? So it'd be the original cost of the property, least important. Original cost of the property. That's the least important. The original cost of the property. Least important. So which of the following items would be least important in the market data approach? Original cost of the property. How about the date of sale? Yes. Right, 6 months, right? Neighborhood appearance, yes. Condition and appearance of the property, yes. Those are what you need for comps. A broker is offering a free home warranty with the sale of a house. The ad must contain all of the following except the Delta, name of the company offering the warranty. Name of the company offering the warranty. Name of the company offering the warranty. So a broker is offering a free home warranty with the sale of a house. The ad must contain all the following except the name of the company offering the warranty. So what do they have to include? The condition of the warranty? Yeah. The value of the warranty? Yeah. The expiration date? Yeah. So you always need start date, end date, right, and the signatures. The purpose of an affidavit value is to Delta inform the assessor of the sales price. Inform the assessor of the sales price. Inform the assessor of the sales price. So the purpose of an affidavit of value is to inform assessor of the sales price. Is it to allow a manufactured home to be taxed as real estate? No. Set the market value of the property? No. Report the sales price to the IRS? No. It is Delta to inform the assessor of the sales price. If a broker moves or abandons his business location without notice to the real estate department, the commissioner will Delta cancel the broker's license. Cancel the broker's license. It's not terminate, it's not expire, it's cancel the broker's license. So if a broker moves or abandons his business location without notice to the real estate department, the commissioner will cancel the broker's license. Will they issue a warning? No. Will they assess a $500 fine? No. Will they assess a $1,000 fine? No. They're going to cancel the broker's license. An applicant for a real estate salesperson license must Delta complete a licensure disclosure form. Complete a licensure disclosure form. Complete a licensure disclosure form. So an applicant for a real estate salesperson license must complete a licensure disclosure form. So be an Arizona resident? No. Be a United States citizen? No. Have a high school diploma? No. All right, that's it for Unit 44. We'll go on to Unit 45 to review 100 questions.